Hello everyone and welcome to this new Shot by Designshot. Shot is a new and exclusive format designed to spotlight the experts in the design secret society. Today I have the pleasure of chatting with Anne-Sophie Guillou and Gaëlle Seznec, who have been senior and lead user researcher at Criteo for several years. As you might imagine, I had to take this opportunity to broach the wonderful subject of the repository. How can we make the repository accessible and central to our strategy? How can we facilitate the automatic search for insight within the organization? So today they're going to tell us about their repository benchmark and strategy that carried out and their final choice, which is HeyMarvin.
Shots by Designshot.
Hi, Anne-Sophie and Gaëlle. Welcome to this. Welcome to you both in this talk.
Hi,
I'm
everyone.
very happy to have you today. For those who don't know what Criteo is, maybe you could give me a little brief and introduction about Criteo and your research team.
Yeah, Criteo, so is, for the one who don't know, is one of the leader in the AdTech industry. So what we do exactly is to provide AdTech platforms for brands who need to advertise their product online, but also we provide all the tools and platforms for media owners and retailers to provide their space on their website for those brands who wants to advertise. Criteo is a quite big company. We are almost 3,000 employees. We are spread all over the world. Just to give a bit description of the product design team, we are specialized into expertise. So within our team, we have user researchers. So we have our team. We are almost, we are 5 persons.
What I think is very interesting in your case is that this plurality of expertise, as you said, you have so many different expertise in your team, but also that's cross-country now.
Yes.
And it might be like a big challenges for implementing a repository with those constraints, if I can say. So I think we will have the opportunity to talk about it later, how you want to and how do you want to try actually to implement and to integrate those expertise in the repository. What is your strategy about it? How do you want to collaborate around this new repository? What is your main goal for implementing this repository?
Our main goal is to inform the product roadmap, and thanks to all the studies that we conduct in the user research team. But we are not the only one to collect client feedback. There are also other teams within Criteo who do collect client feedback. That was one of the challenges we had. Like, we wanted to be able to cross our client knowledge with the different teams, because we do things that they have other way to talk with the client. They have other type of client feedback, like more related to business, whereas we are more concentrated on user needs and hands on the platform and operational usage of the platform. But if we cross all that knowledge, if we triangulate all that knowledge, that will make very much more powerful insights for the product roadmap and for product decision making. So that was one of the challenge.
Big one.
A big one, yeah. We grow from 1 platform to 5 platforms. So 4 years ago, we equipped ourselves with a Dovetail. We had the very basic plan of Dovetail. We thought there weren't any AI. And it was very easy because we did build, this whole tagging system for just 1 platform. But having other platform joining that tool, it became really like complex, to maintain a system of tagging for 5 platforms. So we were like, okay, now it's not possible. We need to look for other tools. Also, we did conduct recently a little study internally to know how people were satisfied, how stakeholders were satisfied with retrieving client knowledge today. And 80% of product manager, product marketing are not satisfied with the current way of accessing client knowledge.
I think that's one of the trouble we see a lot talking about Dovetail, because I used to use it a lot of time and implement it in different organizations. And the main trouble was always that's a tool for researcher. And if we want to bring other team and sales and product and everyone on this tool, it's not working because it is made for researcher. We had to think more about how can we structure the tool for the consumers of the repository to come and read and search information, but we had to think about how we can change the structure and organize the tool differently, that how it's thought, if I can say.
I mean, it was a bit of a shame for us because we started with Dovetail because the information were spread out over Confluence pages, Even the research we were doing, we were putting in Confluence pages. It was already an improvement with Dovetail. But the thing is, nobody was going into it. PM were continuing, filling in, Confluence pages with maybe some also discussion they could have with clients, And what we didn't thought about also at that time is to include the other teams within this central repository. Like all our vision kind of build up this year.
I was thinking again on this observation you had on stakeholders that were not satisfied on how to access client and user knowledge. I'm understanding that one of your main goal was to centralize all this knowledge. And that is kind of your big vision around the project. And can you maybe give me more information and details about this vision? How far do you want to go with this strategy?
Our first thoughts was, okay, now that AI is everywhere, there should be a way to use AI to find easily existing knowledge. At the very beginning also, we had this aspect of the centralization of all the client feedback. Because as we mentioned, we are 5 in the company with more than 3,000 people. So you can imagine that we cannot address everything. And of course, there are other teams gathering feedback. And when we were working previously on topics, we thought that finally, we already have some knowledge. For example, it can be in support tickets, or it can be in the CSAT that is handling by the sales team, or it can be everywhere. So we have to be able to combine all this data. So our goal with this repository project is really to use AI to be able to centralize everything and be able to retrieve from all this knowledge what we are looking for. It was really at the center of the project to be able to include everyone. So our team, UX designers, PMs, and so on, but also the product marketing team and also the sales. And we really want to be able to have a single source of truth, in fact, with this repository.
So they will be implementing insights and studies from their own team on the tool from now.
Yeah, it can be either directly on the tool or to be sure that the tool can be linked to what they are using on their everyday work, because, for example, we have a CRM with Salesforce and there are some, the sales, they need to use this tool. So we want our repository to be connected or to be able to upload the data to the repository so that we can find the knowledge.
So we're not talking just about user repository now. We're really talking about client feedback, customer knowledge, and that's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think to come back to what Anne-Sophie is saying, like one of our objectives was not to disrupt also their way of doing today. With Marvin, what is interesting is that we can connect and integrate their existing tool to collect actually their client feedback today to drive all that knowledge within Marvin.
To add on that, when we were talking about this project internally, everyone saw an interest in it, in fact, to centralize everything. And one of the thread they had, it was, okay, but I'm using this or this or this, and I don't want to change. Or, as I mentioned, for example, for Salesforce, the sales team, they have to, connect their Outlook to Salesforce to be able to know if the lead is hot or not and so on. So they do not want to lose this information, and that's normal because it's their way of working. So when we told them that the goal was not to replace their own tool, but to be able to connect them together, then there were no so many roadblocks. So
it seems very logical because I think in research we had this problem for a long time.
We did use the same methodologies for that project than we will do for other projects. Being more inclusive and being more collaborative. And it did work.
And also for the survey that we did before, it was also part of this way of applying our own methodology to our work, because it helped us also to understand what was the main important elements they needed regarding client feedback. So to help us to know how we should structure the repository, because they need to filter by client attribute, for example, or things like this that was not integrated in Dovetail, for example. So that's also one reason why they were not using it so much. So with this in mind, then you also have more key to success. Yeah.
And also that's a very great tips from you, I think, to have this also this strategy to create like a intern study to understand exactly the consumers of your own repository, what they need, what they want to find, and how. So that's something that we're not always thinking about, and that's very interesting to having this kind of action to understand better the company and the organization and help them to having better insight and finding it faster, maybe I should say. I'd love to ask maybe a bit more about Dovetail. You had some struggles. You talked earlier about the research tool into Dovetail that was complicated for consumers to use. Can you tell me if you had other reasons to stop Dovetail in Criteo to start with a new tool and try other things?
When we were exploring, the tools, we had a message for Dovetail, like saying that they will include AI soon or something like this. So I tried to reach them, in fact, and saying, okay, we are a client of Dovetail since 4 years or 4 years or almost. Could we talk to a sales from your team to show us or to explain to us what the AI new features will be and so on, because we are exploring what we will have for our new stack of tools in Criteo. But one element that also was in the balance was that the AI of Dovetail is not running through the raw data. That's what they told us. And one of the goals of having an AI repository was that it was able to search through the raw data that is not tagged. Why? Because, in fact, one issue we faced in the previous work we had on the research team and others is that when you are working on a project, you tag accordingly to the project you are on. So, for example, if the user is talking about something that is not really part of the project, it might not be tagged at this time. But then when you have a new project coming, what the user said previously might be useful for this new project. So we need to be able to search through the AI, to search through the raw data and say, okay, this kind of users told this information and so on. So that was also one of the elements we took into consideration when we compared the tools.
And can I ask, what option did you explore? What are the tools that you have tried before choosing HeyMarvin? Can you tell me a bit more, Anne-Sophie, about it, like all your exploration, and also what conclusion did you make? Except, of course, HeyMarvin seems to be the best for you, obviously, but maybe you have some insight to share about that.
Yeah, for sure. So first, what we did is that we listed what criteria was important for us. So based on the vision that Gaëlle mentioned, based also on the discussion we had with other teams, because as we mentioned at the very beginning, we were already talking to the sales team and to the PMM team, so project marketing team, to make sure that we take their needs into consideration when we explore the tools. So we had a list of features and needs that we had. We have the list of the tools we wanted to be integrated or linked with the repository and so on. We also tried with ChatGPT or Dust. We tried other repository tool. We tried, I think, Viable. Product Board also had some AI feature, but it was really based on the project management or,
Exactly.
So it was not fitting the global needs. We stopped the proof of concept with them quite earlier, like after 3 weeks of test.
So the winner was HeyMarvin.
Yep.
After that, so you told me earlier that you made a POC about HeyMarvin. How did you organize it, and how did you integrate this tool? It will be interesting to see exactly what was the criteria that were convincing for you.
So for the proof of concept, it was for almost 5 weeks. We included all the stakeholders people from each teams of the stakeholders for the proof of concept. We had a call with the tool each week. So we were able to ask our questions or have advice on how to use HeyMarvin and so on. I think we were almost 28 people from Criteo who we tested it through the proof of concept, and we tested more than 20 projects, several kind of projects like interviews for as a UX researcher, but also the CSAT, which is a very big survey that we send each year. And also we wanted to test if it was able to analyze the intercom conversations that are on our main, our core platform. And so for a long time also, so there were more than 1,000 conversations. So it was a quite big file also to test.
Can you present me a bit more the advantages that you found about HeyMarvin and what are exactly the pros and the cons?
What we really loved with the tool, it's really user-friendly to use it. When you enter it, it's easy to have some first AI analysis. There are the two sides, of what we wanted, like the analyze part to be able to analyze qualitative data, and the retrieving part also.
When you talk about AI analysis, what are we talking about exactly? Is it like transcription or insights highlighted by AI? What is exactly?
In fact, it's both of it. There are several ways to analyze with AI in HeyMarvin. You can connect it to your Zoom calls if you are on an interview or any way to do interviews. It understands all languages also. So if you have interviews in French, then the transcript can be in English. That's not an issue, and it will be able to understand it. For example, in the CSAT, we had also answers that were in Korean, in Portuguese, or in any languages, and the tool was able to understand everything. You don't have to translate the answers. And then you have the ability to, if you include, for example, your discussion guide, the tool is able to automatically find in the calls what the user said regarding a question that you asked. It's a way also to faster the analysis. And then you have several ways to analyze all the qualitative data. It can be creating some graph, with analyzing the things that are said in a question. Or you can also, ask a question to the tool, like if you have an hypothesis, you want to check if this hypothesis is correct or not, and you can select the files that you want to include in this analysis and so on.
Do you have some cons on HeyMarvin?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there are always some cons. The price, it's not a cheap tool for sure. So we also had to build a business case internally to have this tool.
And to convince.
Yeah. As I mentioned, there are no way today to have dashboards. So to follow, for example, the trends of a feedback, or categorization of feedback.
Can you tell me how far have you got in the integration of Marvin? Where are you right now in the integration? What did you already implement it today, or are you still working on it? At which step are you now?
We have a rollout plan, and the first step was to integrate the product team because this is what we have paid for. We have done the first onboarding of the product design team. It was this week. So it's already implemented. Product design team can already access it. And the next step will be to do this onboarding for the product managers. What we have to do as well is to create some guidelines. So we are right now on it because we don't want that this tool become a mess and that everyone is uploading project in a certain way and other people in other ways. So this is very important for us to make this tool stable and consistent across the teams and the usage.
I'd love to talk more about PMs and product in general, because obviously when you are building a repository, that's the first consumers. And sometimes the first builders, because they can sometimes participate to the research with you, depending on the organization and the vision, of course. I'm thinking about PMs, but maybe you can try to explain also the place that you are designing for designers in this repository. But first of all, PMs, what is exactly the role that they will play?
Our really first main goal was for the PM to be able to retrieve easily raw data or already compiled insight data. Objective is to better inform them. So we want also them to be able to access everything that we produce on their own, because they also look constantly for client feedback and data to inform their project. When they start a project, they need it for validating their hypotheses, or they need it to see if we have already some data existing to inform their project. So that's the way they are going to consume. So they will enter the tool to retrieve raw data or already compiled data to inform their project. We will also push to them the knowledge. So it's also a way to drive them within the tool, What we plan else is to have also to push also those insights through Slacks. We would like to have, maybe dedicated Slacks where we have system of alerting, once we have uploaded, for instance, a new insight that concerns their scope. And honestly, from what we have seen so far, they really enjoy going within the tool, and the easiness of retrieving the data and the easiness of informing, their project. So
do you think that we need to do more than just trying to communicate about last insight with PMs and designers? Because I know that some researchers are trying to do that, even if they're not on HeyMarvin, but on Dovetail and some other stuff. They struggle to engage PMs and sometimes designers, but also like other teams and stakeholders on the tool. Do you think that it will be enough to engage them on HeyMarvin, or do you feel that you will need to put some other efforts on it to convince more?
Maybe we'll have to put more effort, but we are going to also being helped by the product ops team, who is going to help us to communicate on this new tool. We are going to have also the onboarding with the PM. We will probably do several sessions, and it's not really linked to Marvin, but we have to see how we can link that to Marvin. But we have implemented a new step within our process, which is doing some follow-up workshop once we have shared the studies, our insight, and so on. Things that we weren't doing before.
Oh, okay.
Because what we noticed is that often we didn't know how our studies were used. We didn't know if they were taking any action behind with our studies. And we need to try to know what was the impact of the research on product roadmaps. That's something we need to do for ourselves, but also to prove, our value and our ROI, kind of. What we did implemented is this new step within our process. Once the study is shared, we engage different stakeholders who worked on the project during a workshop where we take all the client feedback that we had and we decide what we need to prioritize and what action needs to be taken on each insight. So we see really the value of that, and let's see how we can push also integrate Marvin within this process.
We did several workshops internally before rolling out the tool. We included all the kind of stakeholders in this workshop, and we work with them on several aspects, like what are their main usage for repository, what are the kind of data they want to retrieve or to upload, what are their pain points also and challenge regarding this kind of tool. And then we did a second workshop with them to map the journey to use a repository. So for both use case, like to retrieve data or to analyze data. And this was really helpful for us, but also for the tool itself, because we based the structure of the tool based on that. And with that in mind, after that, we also make some meetings internally with other PMMs to make sure that what we have built during these workshops is fitting their needs, so that the tool is structured and done correctly, for their usage. So even if it's not, based on the communication and things, we want to have the basis that we make sure that it's easy for them to use it and to and it fitting their needs.
We needed to reflect within Marvin our Criteo organization, the way our organization is structured, We have different team of product manager. They work on different scopes. They can work on one scope within one platform. As I said, there are 5 platforms. So you can imagine the complexity. We have also shared services, so which elements of our platform which serve all our platforms. So you have also PM working on that. We needed also to have their input in order to really have this full vision on how they will access the data based on their scope, based on the platform they are working on.
I really love and appreciate how much is about collaboration in your strategy. I mean, you're working on how you can integrate better people in the repository. So you're studying what are the needs of your teams and members who are working on different tools. So you're really studying what are the needs, how do we need to implement and structure the repository depending of the journey we want to create about the repository. So that's very, very interesting. It will be very interesting to see more teams working like that, having the side project to understand better in turn how the organization is working and how we can improve it with the skills of a researcher. I think it's so valuable, and that's very, very interesting to do. So that's very inspiring, to be honest. When you were talking, Gaëlle, about workshop, you're not doing the mistake to just create your repository and again being like, okay, everything is on that. So if you want to search some information, let's check the repository because we worked a lot on it. And sometimes there's like a big frustration from researchers about it because it's a lot of organization, it's a lot of work to create this repository. So they have a frustration that people are not always going there and checking information. You're not limiting to that. You're not doing just creating this big project, but you're also working on this collaboration with designers, PM, stakeholders to put out the research from the repository and collaborate and also integrate yourself in the design process and the PM process. That's a lot of work. That's very inspiring. And I think I'm not surprised if you said that it's working well. You have like great feedbacks on that. And I think that's really amazing.
Of course. Thank you.
We don't see that a lot in organization. And I know that researchers are sometimes, they're struggling with those problems, and that's great solution to share. So I think it will inspire a lot of organization and teams to work on that. Okay, so now you implemented the tool. What are the other next steps for 2025?
The onboarding, as we mentioned, of the product team, the onboarding also of the other teams. So we have several steps in our vision. First is the project. So why we want to have the project first is because we want to, test it and make sure that it's running well. And then we will include the product marketing team. So it's a GTM, go-to-market teams, so that they can also use it for their own usage. We want also the enablement team to be on board, to be able to add all the support feedback in the tool too. The end vision is to have something that is across all Criteo. So including all the teams that use or that collect client feedback. All the tools that already have a native integration, we are working on making work. And we are also working on how we can do for all the manual integrations, because there are some tools that are not yet able in a manual, in a native integration. So we are working on that to make sure that the vision to have everything at the same place is accessible and doable.
We have 2 main objectives, which is one, to make our platform frictionless, so more self-serve, and to provide the best-in-class user experience, because we know that that's what is going to accelerate also the usage of our tools by our clients. And the second big objective is to work on more innovative project, new feature, new product, because this is what is going to help Criteo to be the most advanced ad tech company on the market. So within this context, as a research team, we are going to restructure a little bit. When we used to tackle a bit everything. We want to put more effort on the strategic projects, maybe based on the two objectives that I have mentioned, to make a platform less, frictionless, more user-friendly, and so on. Our role is going to be to support the continuous improvement of our platform. And we are going to play a role in that, but more as a support team rather than really doing. And Marvin is going to accelerate that because people are going, like PMs, UXD are going to have access to client knowledge. And the other big block, which is to help Criteo to be more advanced on the market. Here we are going to play more a role of a driver. So we are going to drive all the strategic, innovative projects. So all the studies that we are going to run, we are going to put our effort on that rather than on tactical research, where we are going to be more as a support for UXDs, PMs, because they are going to have Marvin to access the knowledge. We have a new analytical tool also, which is named HEAP. We have implemented as well, which is much more out of the box. So it's going to be very easy for the teams to access also behavioral data.
You said that you will be a bit more free as researchers to do like more discovery and big project like you are working on because HeyMarvin will be more accessible and product managers and designer will be find insight more easily. Are they doing research or not at all?
PM always has sometimes talk with clients. They do talk also. They also sometimes collect feedback, and we cannot, go against that. I think the idea is more to help them, to give them the good support to do that better. Because why they do that? Because often they need to validate the hypothesis. So we don't want to spend time as a UX research team validating their hypothesis, whereas our value is when we really do some discovery, we search for new opportunities. Yeah, the idea is with Marvin, they will be able to access the data. And with our support, like we want also to create maybe like kind of a research academy, where we provide templates, a support for talking with a client, doing properly a one-on-one interview without, asking questions in the right way and so on. So that's a bit our objective. And same for UXD, we want to accelerate also there because we used to do some support for usability tests and so on. We are going to continue that, but we want them to be more autonomous on that and also access the data with Marvin.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anne-Sophie and Gaëlle, for this incredible talk. I had a great time talking about your strategy. It was very interesting, very inspiring, and I'm pretty sure it will be inspiring for lots of researchers and teams and people in the design field. Thank you so much for your time, and see you soon.
Thanks for watching. Join our creative community and subscribe for more design content.